our judiciary is unfit for purpose. It does exactly as it is told by the executive, and it does not serve the cause of justice. Why I don't join protests is because I know that they are merely protesting to the deaf. How do you tell the deaf you don't like what is being done to you? A person who is intent on not hearing you, why are you wasting your time shouting at him? It's a waste of time. The Nigerian state is deaf. It does not listen. So those who protest to the Nigerian state, when you talk about protest, it's suggestive of a person saying, no, I'm not happy with what you are doing. And he keeps saying, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with this. The expectation is that the person to whom you are protesting have the capacity to hear you, and having heard you, he will recalibrate and do the right thing. It has never happened that the Nigerian state recalibrated and did the right thing. NSAS, they changed the name to SWAT. Of what I have been shouting in my country for over 6, 7, 8 years. There is a genocide going on in Nigeria. The Nigerian state is complicit in it, and the victims are largely Christians and other minorities in the Northeast, in the Northwest, and in the Middle Belt. I don't need the Americans to tell me that. And I don't need the Americans to establish the complicity of the APC and the Buhari junta. It was Baraje that told all of us in Nigeria, heard him say it in 2016 at the 78th birthday anniversary. The APC imported terrorists into Nigeria. Right. Commodore Lawume was sat in your studio when he informed the whole of Nigerians that as far back as 2016, a list was compiled and given to President Buhari of sponsors of terrorism in his government. And he's also mentioned at that time that there were state governors who were sponsors of terrorism.
Civil rights activist and legal practitioner joins us virtually. Good morning, Mr. Farotimi. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, good to have you. I wonder what you make of all of the events from yesterday. I know from time to time you were putting out messages on social media. What was your own interpretation, first, of the NSAS anniversary, the protest, the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, the response by the security operatives, and what this means ultimately for our nation?
Well, I think the first thing is that we need to learn to pay attention to what the Nigerian state does more than the things that it says. Number one, 5 years ago to the day yesterday, unknown number of Nigerians were murdered by men purportedly members of their own armed forces. It is a sad commentary on the country we have built that up till today, we can't even agree on the facts because the truth is staring us in the face, but men are still arguing against the grain of the truth. Second thing is that when you pay attention, you see very quickly that after 25 years, going on 26 years now of our democracy, the Nigerian victim, who we euphemistically refer to as citizens, do not even have the right to express their pains. I'm not even talking about their rights, their pains. Yemi Adamolekun was assaulted at the Lekki toll gate exactly 5 years after the state killed men and women there. Those who were protesting for the freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu were serially assaulted and tear-gassed in full glare of everybody just yesterday. Meanwhile, in this same blessed country of ours, terrorists, euphemistically referred to as bandits, are riding and trooping colors in full glare of TV cameras, granting interviews and laying down conditions for peace to a state that is complicit in the mess that has overtaken it. But those who are asking that a person who was abducted from another country, been granted bail by the court, they're saying, look, free this man. Even the politics of which should have informed the rulers of Nigeria that it's not good for optics, that you have real terrorists who have borne arms, killed multiple numbers of persons, completely unrepentant, who are busy walking around free. But a man who has carried the genuine grievance of his people, you may not like his methods. That's a different ballgame entirely. But how do you complain about his methods when you are mollycoddling even worse? And you can't even find the grace or the sense, common sense, to bring peace in the country and find a way to free the man. So I am all for the right of citizens to protest, but unfortunately the Nigerian is not a citizen. And the Nigerian state advertises it and reinforces that message every day.
So what do you make of the other line of the argument, just to have a well-rounded conversation that says, well, the court has adjourned till October the 23rd, has asked the defendant, in this case, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu and his lawyers, to defend themselves, and they have until, I think, the 30th, thereabouts. In fact, the court granted the requests for him to have a meeting with his counsel outside of a DSS. I think that should happen today by 12 noon, or between 9 and 12 or thereabouts. So for those who are saying, well, this matter is in court as well, how about really presenting the case in court and ensure that the right things are done from his counsel's case? And I think the jury will be out there. Nigerians will see that you did your work well in the court. And of course, the judgment is left to the honorable justices, but at least you presented your own case. So for those who are saying, allow the court process be exhausted, what do you say to them?
What were these same people saying when Bello Turji is busy rampaging in the northeast and the northwest and is mollycoddled and met by different levels of traditional rulership and even the so-called constituted authority? Local government chairmen are sitting down. Nigeria has created a situation where there seems to be two parallel justice systems. How do you tell somebody to keep exercising patience with a judicial system that would appear to be obeyed only when it does as it is told by the executive? The optics does not make for this argument about the existence of a court process. What happened to the court processes in relation to real bandits, terrorists who have taken Nigerians hostage, killed them even in their worship centers? How do you have this conversation about having one subject itself to a justice system that is manifestly unjust and incapable of delivering justice, while telling the other one to ignore the fact that there are worse criminals, even in terms of crime, that are being ignored? It is the double standard that makes this argument difficult to stomach. There is a judicial system, quote and unquote, but that judicial system is completely blind to the crimes of one, and in the other one, you find a dissonance that suggests that, okay, so it's okay to treat this one like this, but it's fine to treat the other one in that manner. It is the uneven scale that makes this argument inequitable to even present in the first place. If everybody are treated the same, then we can have this discussion. But in a situation where it is clear, if it is so nauseatingly clear, it is difficult to even have a rational argument where one is saying that, oh, there is a justice system to which Nnamdi Kanu must be subjected, but that justice system, it is gagged, it is blindfolded, it is handcuffed in relation to others. That is not a position I'm able to argue. And in any case, who says we can't walk and chew gum at the same time? It is the inalienable right of those who are truly citizens to protest and show their discontent to their rulers. I don't believe that those who protested have done anything wrong. If anything, I think the Nigerian state is advertising serious double standard that is not sustainable.
What do you think this government is scared of? Do you think are the concerns or worries of this government? Because you've talked about this also working politically. If it were to be released, this would be a major political point for this government. So what are your thoughts about the government's fears?
Well, I think it is easy to elicit the truth when you look at the objective realities. October 20, 2020, Nigerians were protesting peacefully, waving flags, singing national anthem. They were murdered in cold blood. That is the response of the Nigerian state to those demanding to be treated as citizens. The entire protest was end SARS, SARS was the brutal and it remains the brutal arm of the Nigerian government in enforcing impunity in Nigeria. But the state did not address this concern. Instead, it murdered those who were demanding to be treated as citizens. Every time Yele Sowore and his cohorts come out to protest something or the other, you see the Nigerian police in full force, always ready to murder, to kill, to maim, every time Nigerians demand to be treated as citizens. But when you look at this way, the same Nigerian state treats bandits, quote and unquote, terrorists, Fulani militia, murdering Nigerians in the full glare of everyone, you see complicit silence by the state. So it's easy to say what the Nigerian state is scared of. The Nigerian state is scared of being subjected to the rule of law and being accountable to its victims. The only time you see the Nigerian army and police flex muscles is when people are demanding to be treated as citizens. Those who bear arms against the Nigerian state, who murder citizens in their beds, in their homes, on their farms, nothing ever happens to them. The Nigerian state is constantly talking about repentant terrorists. We have the most successful de-radicalization program in the entire wide world. We should be exporting it. But it is in Nigeria that those who presume to demand to be treated decently as human beings, governed and protected by law, are serially assaulted and murdered. Chinedu Agwu is there in prison in Owerri today. What was he saying? He criticized the governor. That is the country we have built. Those who need to be afraid of the Nigerian state are those demanding that it should treat them both as citizens and as human beings. But those who go around marauding and killing Nigerians regardless of their ethnicity or religion, the Nigerian state has no problem with those ones. So the Nigerian state is afraid of having itself yoked to the rule of law and having the citizens, quote and unquote, treated as citizens and no longer as victims. That is what the Nigerian state is afraid of. Accountability in any way, shape or form. It does not like it.
Speaking of Nigerians being killed, another part of this conversation is the number of Nigerians that have met their untimely death at the hands of what police in the southeast will call criminal elements associated with IPOB. And at the heart of this is also the Simon Ekpa factor. And the southeast is divided over this. How much of this would you attribute to the influence of the man that is at the heart of this agitation from yesterday, which would be Nnamdi Kanu? Do you believe that it is part of what he should answer to amid this trial?
Well, let me remind us of a Yoruba proverb. He says, you say to the cripple that, oh, your load is askew, and it reminds you that perhaps you should be looking at his feet instead of focusing on his head. Nnamdi Kanu is a reaction to genuine grievances. Ndi Igbo, since the end of the Civil War, has proven to be the testing ground for all the madness that afflicts Nigeria. What was once restricted strictly for the Igbos have now been democratized for everybody. The Nigerian citizen is essentially a Biafran. The question to ask is this: why is Nnamdi Kanu agitating, and why is he supported by the rank and file of Ndi Igbo? A lot of people are unhappy with his methodologies, yes, but there has been nobody who has been able to come out to credibly challenge the genuineness of the grievances that he is fighting for, or rather fighting against. Let us be clear. We can bellyache about his methods from now till kingdom come, and I have been very vocal in condemning his method. But nobody in their right mind can argue against the fact that Ndi Igbo, just like every other Nigerian who is not a member of the ruling class, has been seriously marginalized in Nigeria and is not even treated decently like a human being. So if we want to talk about the criminalities that has also affected that struggle, let me remind you that it is in this country that we started hearing how Asari Dokubo has been contracted by certain states to act and bear arms on behalf of the Nigerian state. He said as much inside the council chamber of the Nigerian state in Aso Rock at the beginning of Tinubu's regime when he was there vibrating. We don't even know and cannot say for sure whether this madness can be traced directly to Nnamdi Kanu and his cohort. I am not his lawyer. I'll let his lawyer handle that. But the fact is this: there is no way to say with certainty that state-sponsored actors are not equally involved in the madness that has overtaken the Southeast. And if you are going to deal with that madness, you would have to go to the root. What is causing the grievances? What is at the root of the grievances? What is it that the Igbo man is complaining about? Why is it that this place has remained in turmoil? If it's just about Nnamdi Kanu, it will be over. You've had him locked up for like 3 years, and even before then, he was mostly on the run. So the point is, take away the grievances, and the agitations will dry up. As long as the headlines persist, the fingernail will remain blood-stained. That is a reality. Nnamdi Kanu might not be to your taste, but you should ask yourself, and I'm saying this to everybody who might have reason to have quarreled with him, as I have, why is his agitation resonating with his people? Because it is true. So if the Nigerian state is interested in dealing with the criminalities and everything, let it go first to the root of the problem, the inequitable treatment of Nigerians. It is just unfortunate that the Igbo man is the one we are speaking about, but there is nothing that hails him today that does not hail each and every Nigerian regardless of where they are. It is inequity that is at the root of everything.
His agitation does resonate with the people, and you know there were reports that the Southeast was also represented yesterday, but that's one side of the story. There were also protests against the release of Nnamdi Kanu. We saw some people from the Southeast carrying pictures of those who had been killed in the past few years. But let's talk about another critical part of it, Mr. Farotimi, which is the court order that the police cited repeatedly so yesterday during our sister political program. How do you view this court order against the backdrop of Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution, which guarantees Nigerians' right to protest? And what does this mean for the fate of protest in Nigeria?
Number one, this question should help you to see the lie that is called Nigeria. Constitution. That is suggestive of something that the people came together to give to themselves. A band of bandits wrote what you are calling the Constitution, and the section you are citing is as useless as the persons who crafted it. And I would explain myself. In a democracy, there should never be a need for a police permit before you may have a protest. That the police was informed was so that they will provide security. That a court would presume to curtail the right of citizens to protest peacefully in a democracy is even suggestive of the fact that you are not in a democracy, you are only mimicking and pretending to be in a democracy. It is actually completely unheard of that in a democracy, citizens are required to obtain the permit of their paid employees before they may congregate peacefully. So when you talk about the police and the order it was waving around, I'm sorry. Obasanjo was the president of this country, so was Jonathan. And you don't have to listen to Dele Farotimi, you can listen to the professor of law, Oshibadu. Our judiciary is unfit for purpose. It does exactly as it is told by the executive, and it does not serve the cause of justice. So that they are brandishing something and waving it around, you cannot restrict. It can be, a order is only as useful as its lawfulness. You can say people should, you can arrest those who are violent in protesting, you can arrest those who break the law, but there should never be a situation where you are saying citizens cannot protest. So that the Nigerian police was busy waving an order around. I have been the victim of a court that tried me and sent that remanded me in prison custody on a non-existent law. So what kind of law court order is going to stop citizens who are not out for violence from peacefully showing their displeasure with the government? Why I don't join protests is because I know that they are merely protesting to the deaf. How do you tell the deaf you don't like what is being done to you? A person who is intent on not hearing you, why are you wasting your time shouting at him? It's a waste of time. The Nigerian state is deaf. It does not listen. So those who protest to the Nigerian state, when you talk about protest, it's suggestive of a person saying, no, I'm not happy with what you are doing. And he keeps saying, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with this. The expectation is that the person to whom you are protesting have the capacity to hear you, and having heard you, he will recalibrate and do the right thing. It has never happened that the Nigerian state recalibrated and did the right thing. NSAS, they changed the name to SWAT. Today is RRS. It is the character and nature that has not changed. The Nigerian state does not change anything for anybody. It is not interested in pleasing those who presume themselves to be citizens. It doesn't care.
Oh, Mr. Farotimi, quite a number of issues to unpack. I was just looking at one of your posts that you made a few days ago. You talked about a campaign of violence and displacement in northern and middle belt Nigeria, saying it constitutes a calculated, current and long-running genocide against Christian communities and other religious minorities without any reasonable doubt. This is a conversation that is burning. Perhaps in the coming days we'll get to unpack it. But if you were to just speak one line, because we're totally out of time, but that caught my attention. One line to that.
Let me be clear about this. I am not one of those waiting for America or some other country to come and save us. It is up to us to save ourselves. And I don't need Renault's repackaged American to tell me the truth of what I have been shouting in my country for over 6, 7, 8 years. There is a genocide going on in Nigeria. The Nigerian state is complicit in it, and the victims are largely Christians and other minorities in the northeast, in the northwest, and in the middle belt. I don't need the Americans to tell me that, and I don't need the Americans to establish the complicity of the APC and the Buhari junta. It was Baraje that told all of us in Nigeria, heard him say it in 2016 at the 78th birthday anniversary. The APC imported terrorists into Nigeria. Commodore Lawume was sat in your studio when he informed the whole of Nigerians that as far back as 2016, a list was compiled and given to President Buhari of sponsors of terrorism in his government. And he's also mentioned at that time that there were state governors who were sponsors of terrorism. All these people are still in Nigeria today. I don't need the Americans to tell me what I have seen, what I have heard, and what eyewitnesses have told me. The complicity of the Nigerian state has been established beyond reasonable doubt. And it should stop lying to itself and face the fact of what is before us.